In 1492, Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer funded by Spain, reached the Americas. He was searching for a new route to Asia. His arrival marked a turning point in history. It set off a wave of exploration and colonization. European powers, including Spain, France, and England, rushed to claim land in this new world. They were driven by a thirst for wealth and power. Gold, silver, and other resources were sought after. Colonies were established to exploit these riches. The arrival of Europeans had a devastating impact on the native populations. Diseases brought from Europe ravaged indigenous communities. Many were forced into labor. Their land was taken. The consequences of this first encounter continue to resonate today. This period marked the beginning of a complex and often brutal chapter in human history. It set the stage for the rise of a new nation and a new world order. Different European powers established colonies along the eastern coast of North America. They had different motivations and approaches to colonization. The English, for example, established settlements based on agriculture and trade. They came seeking religious freedom and new opportunities. Life in the early colonies was harsh. Colonists faced disease, starvation, and conflict with Native Americans. Survival depended on hard work and cooperation. Over time, the colonies grew and prospered. The colonists developed their own forms of government and self-rule. They forged a new identity, distinct from their European roots. This spirit of independence would eventually lead to revolution. As the colonies matured, so too did the seeds of discontent with British rule. The stage was set for a momentous clash between a burgeoning nation and its colonial master. By the 1700s, tensions between the American colonies and Great Britain were rising. The British government imposed taxes and regulations that the colonists found unfair. They believed in self-government and resented interference from across the ocean. Leaders like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin emerged. They rallied the colonists to fight for their rights. In 1776, the colonists declared their independence from Great Britain. The Declaration of Independence, written primarily by Thomas Jefferson, proclaimed that all men are created equal and endowed with certain unalienable rights. These include the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The American Revolutionary War lasted for 8 long years. The colonists faced a powerful enemy in the British Empire, but they were determined to fight for their freedom. Finally, in 1783, Britain recognized American independence. A new nation was born. The newly independent United States faced the daunting task of forming a new government. The Founding Fathers drafted the Constitution in 1787. It established a system of government based on the separation of powers. It also created a balance between the federal government and the states. George Washington, the hero of the Revolutionary War, became the first president in 1789. He led the nation through its early years, setting important precedents. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, was added in 1791. It guaranteed fundamental rights and freedoms to all citizens. The idea of manifest destiny, the belief that the United States had a divine right to expand westward, took hold in the 19th century. This expansion came at a cost, as Native American tribes were displaced and dispossessed of their lands. The young nation faced challenges from within and outside its borders, but it persevered, driven by the ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity. Section 5. A House Divided, the Civil War. The issue of slavery cast a long shadow over the United States. By the mid-19th century, the nation was deeply divided. Southern states relied on enslaved labor for their agricultural economy. They resisted calls for abolition. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln, a Republican who opposed the expansion of slavery, was elected president. His election sparked outrage in the South. 11 Southern states seceded from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. The Civil War began in 1861. It was a brutal and bloody conflict. Brother fought against brother. More than 600,000 soldiers died. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. It declared that all enslaved people in Confederate territory were to be freed. The war ended in 1865 with the defeat of the Confederacy. Slavery was abolished. The nation began the long and difficult process of Reconstruction. Section 6. Industry's Rise, Progress, and its Price. Following the Civil War, the United States experienced a period of rapid industrial growth. The Industrial Revolution transformed America. Factories sprang up in cities. New technologies emerged. Railroads connected the vast country. Millions of immigrants flocked to America seeking a better life. They provided a ready workforce for the booming industries. But this period of progress also brought challenges. Industrial workers often faced harsh conditions, low wages, and long hours. Inequality widened. Corruption plagued the political system. The rise of big business and the power of industrialists like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie created monopolies. Labor unions emerged to fight for workers' rights. Progressive reformers sought to address social and economic injustices. Section 7. Global Conflict, World Wars, and the Great Depression. The 20th century brought new challenges and uncertainties. The United States found itself drawn into global conflicts. In 1917, after years of neutrality, America entered World War I. It helped to tip the balance in favor of the Allies against Germany and the Central Powers. The Roaring Twenties followed the war, a time of economic prosperity and cultural change. But it was followed by the Great Depression, the worst economic crisis in American history. Millions lost their jobs and homes. In 1932, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected president. He promised a new deal for the American people. His administration implemented a series of programs designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. The world plunged into war again in 1939. The United States initially remained neutral, but the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 drew America into World War II. Section 8. Superpower on the world stage, the Cold War and beyond. After World War II, the United States emerged as a global superpower. The Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, dominated the second half of the 20th century. The two superpowers engaged in a nuclear arms race. They supported opposing sides in proxy wars around the world. The space race captured the imagination of people everywhere. The civil rights movement gained momentum in the 1950s and 1960s. Led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, it challenged racial segregation and discrimination. It achieved significant legal and social victories. The Vietnam War, a protracted and divisive conflict, deeply divided American society. Protests against the war and for social justice swept the nation. Section 9. America Today, a Nation at a Crossroads. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked the end of the Cold War. The United States emerged as the sole superpower. But new challenges and uncertainties soon arose. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, shook the nation to its core. America launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan and Iraq. The election of Barack Obama as the first African-American president in 2008 was a historic moment. It signaled hope for change and progress. Today, America faces a complex and interconnected world. Challenges include climate change, economic inequality, political polarization, and the rise of new global powers. The COVID-19 pandemic tested the nation's resilience. America's journey continues. Its people face the future with a mix of hope and uncertainty. The ideals of liberty, equality, and opportunity enshrined in its founding documents continue to guide its path.